The days part two. The two first day. The first one was infancy, innocency of a child, and the second day it was pretty much when you discovered that light worked. When you could put the Lego block together, when the soul gets in the child, in a way, when it starts to be acknowledging of its act. And then that's the day two till you die for the beach out of the handful that God grabs. Jesus grabbed on the beach. It's the mass. And dies on day two. Jesus spent 3 days in hell. That's the third day in hell. Is in a way it's kind of related to 3 days, because you have your glorified body on the 4 days. That's new birth. That third day is new birth. Is to enter paradise while you're living down here on earth, is to receive that ultimate peace. And it's a peace that appeases your heart in a manner that it goes and tackles the real realm of what peace is. And peace can only be one thing, is a crisp or a convinced heart of what reality is. And that englobes that you're now convinced of your purpose of being down here living. So it's in a base thing. It completely answers your existential questions. It doesn't explain every detail of what reality is, but it demonstrates the motives in the system as a basic system that you can complete in every direction after that moment of new birth. That spirit that you receive, it's the spirit of truth. The spirit of truth, the spirit of verity, the spirit of no lie, of understanding the pure essence of what life is. The spirit of understanding, the spirit of truth. You're not convinced that you hold truth till it doesn't make sense in your life, in your mind, that creates enough faith for you to believe in it. It's all those concepts that you put together and you choose what you play with. You either conceive of matter or you conceive of what life is. Both are logical, both holds water as much as one is the other. They're both searchable to complete chaotic incomprehensions by complications. If you want to take it that way, it can be expanded and expanded and expanded, or contracted and contracted, and it always stay straight. Truth is that narrow straight line that in a way, if you regard it as the mean we have manifested by recreating that false reality that is society and how complex society is, gives you an idea of the creativity of the mind. That's how much it can create. It can create the whole society that we bathe in. So it's hugely complex, but it's only 1/3 of knowledge. I mean, it's only one concept in a way, and it's to bring material into a material, the reality into a materialistic aspect, and it tends to make you forget that you're a spiritual entity. And that's what you discover at new birth, is that eternity is passed on through the spiritual realm. And what is that spiritual then realm? A clear indication we have is that spirit leads flesh. Your idea makes you move. Your ideology, your identity, what you think that you should be as a good person, and you work towards your idealistic goal. That's your hope. And that's what you manifest in reality. What do you need to be that good guy? That's the curse. That's how we're all geared, and that's what God tells us, that we're all cursed by Satan when we're born. As soon as we understood that our lies caught, and you could kind of start manipulating people around you by the way you cry, make things happen faster, you think, and things like that. You get pissed off as a baby, to show you that the devil's in you right off the bat. Not conscious of it. You're a baby. You don't really know what you're doing, but you learn it quick. So to show that we're born hell possessed, and everything that is built over what Mother Nature told us what the law are, we're not allowed to chip the stone. Go more than chipping the stone. We have done quite a bit more than chipping the stone, and these are only indication in the Bible that that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna invent sword, and then you're gonna invent cell phone, and then you're gonna invent yourself a new man. You're gonna give birth to Antichrist. And that's kind of all there at new birth. You get that concept. Oh, the devil wants to realize himself coming in here, and he uses us through our idea. That's the big concept of it. And that's where forgiveness becomes such a no-brainer, because you realize that nobody realizes it. What is the weight of saying that spirit leads flesh, that your idea leads your body? Who gives you those ideas? That you're not satisfied by death, that you're scared of death, and you protect your hell with the means of technology. And there you go. You're in disbelief. You think that life holds in a biological entity, but it doesn't. It's not important. It only lasts a little while. but it proves your heart while you're down here, and it's you. I mean, it's for you to wake up that eternity is real, and what's the quack with the heart, and that's the base. Are you sensitive enough to realize that what we're doing is completely wrong, and we just should stop and look at it heal, and go back like Abraham and live in tents. Should be happy living in tents and taking care of each other. That's what God tells you to do. Live in tent, take care of each other. There's room as much as you want on earth for that. Your stupid cars don't have room. But I'll deal with your piss and your shit. That's no problem. If you only do that. That's the program. We're not allowed to buy product more than transforming food into shit. And sperm and ovula into babies. That's the only thing we're kind of allowed to do. No more than animals. And that gets in your heart in the way that you always knew that. Because Christ abides in you all along yet. He was with you right since the beginning. That's why you always had that. Why I was a strange kid, and there's things that I couldn't get into, and because Christ was in me. So that third day does many things to your brain, and one of the main aspect of the whole thing that you can't really touch yet because you don't have the information out of the Bible yet, because I didn't know the Bible before I received new birth. But it's the importance of that guilt that you don't even have the heart to recognize that you're destroying your own habitat, and and then you do it, and you have to lift your elbow and knock some nose down to be able to forge yourself a place in that society, and start being mean and untrustworthy towards each other for the gain of the dollar. Hiding things, marketing, lying, selling him, all that. There's so many things that change after that, but not after that, pretty much all now and then. You understand that culture is your enemy. You understand why you hated team sports and things like that. Competition among us. You knew that competition among us was wrong, and it wasn't. It was to be paid at one point. Needed a justice to all that, and then all of a sudden, all that justice falls into place. Got it. Okay. You understand the plan of God. You understand His plan of redemption. You understand it because you understand your sin. You understand that you don't practice your intelligence the right way. You don't try to conceive of reality, but you try to conceive out of reality yourself a new reality. You recreate, you devise, you invent. You're scared and you don't accept that because you have no conceptivity, no substance of what that can be, and you never discuss about it because you're scared of it. It's scary, but no. It's not scary. It's a bit of a wimp. You didn't want to be scared in your mom's belly because you didn't want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. At one point, you gotta get out of the belly. Scary or not, that's how she goes. Don't get me wrong, it's scary. And as it said in the Bible, Jesus sweated blood before that happened on him. It's scary, but it's not scary in another way, because because you know what's on the other side is much better. It's over the spiritual realm, it's over ideas, it's comprehension. Now you're working the realm of comprehension because you have understood what's the plan of the spirit realm. You understand what the spirit realm is. So you know what Satan is. Because the whole thing belongs to Satan. And the whole Mother Earth energy is a static thing. But Satan connects us to it to execute, to channel us from one side to the other side of the curtain. Hallucinogenic drugs is in a way, one way or another of that kind of door. You jump in those crazy hallucination and all that, and you don't realize that you have passed in another dimension in a way, because the drugs are kind of opening the door for you, so you don't even get to realize really that you have passed a door. All the psychedelic experiment, all those things that gets your brain to alter reality. It's the pineal gland. The activation of the pineal gland gets you more. I mean, it's your antenna to the spiritual realm. You connect right up to it, or you leave that stuff. You leave that stuff alone, because you have seen what surfing the dragon is, by being a bit among those homeless on the street on those harsh drugs. That's what it does. It opens that door, and you go right in the spiritual realm, right in the box of the magic and all that, all the thing that you could imagine and you want it to be realized. And that's what magic is. It's much more powerful than us screwing around by chopping up electricity with computers into that magnificent work of art of the end, that your hand can't even do the work anymore. You gotta create robot to be able to do that precise work, because your hands are not able of such precisions. But that's the hand at the base that have done all that. And that took thousands of years for Satan to teach us all that. That's what people don't get. We're not here for creation. We're not here for art. We're not here for music. It's all empty. That's all empty stuff. That's all brain fart expressed on material. That's like, in a way, pure evil. At least your message or your drawing has a life-food representation that brings about a deep thinking of what is the substance of salvation. If you don't have answer for salvation, and that's what people don't get. But once you get that, you're so privileged, because that's the only thing you want down here, is salvation, is to understand reality, is to be convinced, especially having the Bible backing you up, that since that moment of new birth, that you had that download of tremendous amount of information that made you related of what truth is, and it's a tremendous amount of information, and not because it's in a way extremely simple. So as that justice down here is extremely simple. It's tough to get, it's tough to put in your mind, and I understand that if you're not saved, you don't really want to hear about it, because truth is harsh. But you must be born again. And that's all there is to it. That's the only thing that counts here. It's to find that salvation that everybody's kind of talking about. And it cannot be complicated. It has to be fair. It has to, if it's a good God, then He is a good God. Everything is fair, and I look at the how to look right at the Ten Commandments, and get them right in the sense that everything is about knowledge. It's not about action, it's about comprehension. It's all about comprehending reality. And then your action follows, because that becomes your spirit. You're the spirit of truth, and that leads you. So my slave, as being newborn, I'm enslaved. I'm enslaved by God, and my God, in a way, is kind of an all-togetherness as a Trinity, formed of a complete regard of everything, of information, a comprehension, and a logic. And so the information is logic, so I comprehend it, and it participate in enforcing my convictions. And you test the ground all day long with that. And throwing at people little bits of truths here and there, and finding the moment where it's gonna impact them, and usually the moment that it impacts them is when they are found wrong, when they thought they were wise, by being proved of their wrongness by a simple explanation of something that you have seen and they haven't seen, that is basic and logical. Like praising imbecility. That's praising the devil. You don't want to. What God gave you is a mind. You want to cherish that mind. You don't want it to be brought in a place of imbecility. You want it to be forced upon a place of coherency. You want it to tackle logic all the time. It has to make sense and fits with common sense, especially on a moral base, because everything plays on the heart, and the whole reasoning of the heart. Why our moral law are established that way, and how reality is placed towards moral law. And that's where you absolutely need the second God. You need God the Father and God the Son. You need a creator and a pattern of creation, a systematization of that creation. You want to be able to describe that reality. You need a basic work frame to be able to be solid into your description. And that's logic. And if you built all your frame according to logic, it only pass as logical once the part have been attacked by every angle in your comprehension, and have passed the test of truthfulness. So you haven't found a fail into it, and it participate into your convictions then. But all those convictions are always, you always shake them in a way to make sure that the structure is always solid, and you can only find people in discussion to get to that wrong and start talking about existential question, and that invoke the spirit right away of that heart, and that's the best realm of work for your redemption, for helping your salvation in a way, for you to comprehend better of reality, in a sense that now that reality is to convince yourself, and often convincing yourself through manner that you have to understand the depth of it to find those interaction blessings, because they often provoke hatred and really bad energy and all that stuff. And no, you what is important for you is not how it ends, it's how it went along, and you saw it coming, and you diagnosing heart in a way, you understand of what matter that heart is, and some, that's where I call it the bulldozer effect in a way. But you bring the up low, and you bring the low up. You boost up the poor and you bring down the rich, and that's pretty much what that division is. Because in a manner, it doesn't really matter for your chance of being in a state of receiving salvation, like a future newborn. You can be rich or you can be poor, doesn't matter. It's not about your state that way. It's about how you see something else. Then wow, it cannot only be that biological entity. And you start looking for truth, because you start believing in ghosts and UFOs and alternative, because rich or poor, that biological entity don't suffice you anymore. You start understanding that it's gonna die and there must be something else, because the signs are all over the place, not because you're crazy, because the signs are there. It's written all over the place in rocks that wow, there's something else than what you think there is. But that was my way. There's a million other ways. Acknowledging that the spiritual world leads you, that you're driven by your ideal. That's your evil possessiveness. That's how evil grabs you. You imagine yourself, what would it be to be a good man? That's Satan talking. Then you use your imagination and you try to recreate in your mind the man that you imagine to be a good man, and you want to be like him. That's all Satan. It doesn't. That's a curse. That's the curse our society is in. That's the pure curse. Salvation is to comprehend that life holds an ideology. And there's millions of ideology, but there's only one that brings you at peace. And that the ideology of being convinced of the substance of reality. And that be what the Spirit of Truth provides you. It provides you the ideology of what real life is on a spiritual base aspect that is higher elevated than the spiritual realm, that is a divine realm, meaning that you have a full awareness of the spiritual realm. You understand it exists, and you also understand that it fully belongs to the devil, and it's fully kind of interpreted to that Gaia force, or that force, that living force of Mother Earth, as an instance, for the million name it has. It's the base of Gaia. It's the base of magic. It's the base of creating yourself a better environment, that what God has presented us for a natural aspect of it, as Abraham has done, living in tents and not touching nature, and probably like the native we're doing a bit in the conceptivity we have of them in our culture, and they're tent dweller, and they were Mother Earth respectful. And that's the deal with God. Just don't chip the stone, that's all. Just don't chip the stone. Once you get that your idea are working, or is the ideology that you're working for the devil in a way, anyways, when I kind of got that real quick when it says in the Bible that there's no good hearts, and no one see God, and those kinds of verses, that that be the opposite of how free is the gift of receiving the Holy Spirit. When I received it, I didn't know I received that. I had that described to me once I spent a bit of time in the Bible. Then the Bible kind of clarified that to me, but I had to read quite a few times the tongue of fire verses before I got the real parallel with the tongue of fire. And it's really the tongue of fire that lasts a couple seconds and vanish away. The Spirit of Truth entered in you, and you understand your transgression. You understand that everybody transgress, and you understand that if they do it, it's just because they don't know they're doing it. They don't understand the weight of the ideology that spirit leads flesh, and your spirit leads your life about, and your desire, and you're being scared of dying and medicating yourself and taking care of your health. And not that it's wrong, I'm not saying that, but that your ideology is to try to live longer and more healthier and this and that. If you don't trust God with your health, you don't trust God, because that body belongs to Him. So if you get sick, you accept it, and you're called home, and you die, and you're going to heaven. It doesn't boggle your mind. You're going to heaven, and you know it because you've been worshiping. It's made being clearer and clearer in your head all along your life experience by testing truth. Because everything is so simple if you can get your mind out of your biological entity, that life is ideology. And an ideology that gives you peace is one that comprehends the reality is in it. That's in it. I mean, that's participating in. The hope we're manifesting by building society is the proof that you don't believe in God. You don't believe that the spiritual realm is driving things. You haven't accepted that your ideas, the more you execute them, the more you work for the devil in a way. And that's all he has. He's on the spiritual realm. He's on the idea realm. He's on the imagination realm. He's 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 even on the executional realm by giving you idea that kind of grows, and he's in complete control of everything that has to do in between the idea you could conceive of a concept that you could materialize here down on earth. That's exactly what it means. You're devising reality. You're creating a device that makes your life easier, that you think you can sell and start even playing the marketing game, that it's even kind of worse because you're kind of selling your soul to the name of your materialistic invention that only gets people more lazy. More lazy because they're too busy at doing the wrong things. Because there's plenty of time in a day if you only have to feed yourself, and you don't have to fear for your life. And God's offered that. We decided we needed cars and roads and buildings the way that they're shaped. We, as once again, innocently, culture is so much bigger than what you can fathom. It's all pre-designed, pre-construct. It all goes and flows through times and makes evolution what evolution is. That kind of always and better and better. But it doesn't. And it does. It needs a hand. There's a hand coming. So yeah, that's the third day. Both feet in hell, but your head is in paradise. You're building things of heaven. And you're comprehending reality better, comprehending the plan of God better. That is the manifestation that you can call evil. And then the plan of God, which is redemption, which is the other God. I'll get a video on God and God, because that was my first concept I got down when I received new birth, God and God. I think I'll get the third year shut there, and then yeah, the fourth year is your renewed body. But that's the 3 days. Innocency, and then destroy and manifest your hopes, your personal hopes, and then whoop, realize that you were wrong, and go by as a child, and realize that God is in control, and you're not here to change reality, just as a child, not provoking risk, because you see society going. Not that you don't care where it's going, but that's your clock. You know where the events are according to the information you get out of the Bible. That's creating more faith, because it's mind blowing. It's pretty accurate. You go back as a child. You only believe in God in the way that you don't want to own anything. You don't want to have any ties of any kind of things. You don't have anything prepared for your future. You just let the spiritual roam guiding you. You don't offer resistance. You just find cheap work and live for just enough to be able to live, and go along with that and accept that. And it's easy to accept that because you don't have any more goals in life. You don't find enjoyment for much more than looking at Mother Nature because it's pretty, but dig in your Bible and trying to get as much news as you can that are completely wacky, and try to discern the stuff around all that. So at least many lies you can at least interpret it as the complete opposite. That's usually pretty accurate. But it's not at that plane. It's at no, that's another subject. But I think you get the concept there of the 3 days. 3 days, and then the 4 days. 3.5 days. Who knows? Anyway, it's late. I'm going to bed. Bye bye.